As you can see, we've covered a lot of range when it comes to the improvement of the work. We are expecting the turbines, we are expecting the power transformers, the switch gears are here already. We are also expecting the pressure regulatory or reducing metering skid. So these are the basics. As I speak to you, the auxiliary station transformers are on their way to the site. So a lot of grounds have been covered. The evacuation system in terms of the transmission line, we have covered more than 80%. So we are good to go. Chemistry, there's a philosophy for our connection. There's a philosophy for our connection. As I speak to you, from Opolo, we've covered from Opolo to Tombia, and as I speak to you, there's a serious job going on between Igbogena and the toll gate, which is the boundary of Rivers and Bayelsa. So you might not understand the reticulation work we are doing. That does not mean we are not working. Yes, everything is on course, and our boys are outside working. If you go between the 16th Brigade and the Polytechnic, where the Polytechnic ends, you see work going on. So it must not be that everywhere will be covered before. What is important is that the moment we are done with installation, by the grace of God, the network is ongoing. On or before the end of December, our prayer is that God should help us to deliver, which we will, because God has already helped us.
All right, my name is Olawale. I live in Ogun State, but work in Lagos.
So how has it been in your place of work?
My place of work, where we are not getting excellent performance when it comes to the supply of electricity, but I think it's better compared to how it used to be. That is within Lagos, around Agege the axis.
Okay, so that means there has been sense improvement.
Yeah,
so far.
yeah.
So what about the cost? Like the cost of electricity supply?
The cost is on the high side, because I guess if there is improvement, definitely the cost will be increased as well. So it's on the high side.
And it's not affordable compared to the way it used to be.
You know, because of the economy presently, you have so many things you want to spend money on. Now that the electricity has increased, definitely it's going to like kind of affect you somehow. So it's not something so that you can say is palatable.
So what are you expecting from government?
Well, in the course of the week, the issue of the national grid, the information greeted us yet again. And it got a lot of Nigerians talking, because across the country, we had power cut in different states. And while some lasted for 24 hours, some lasted more than that. And then we're back to the issue of the national grid yet again. If you recall, the issue of the Electricity Act has given us the opportunity for states to not only generate but also distribute, and some states are already taking advantage of it. How long will we continue with the national grid collapse, and what are the factors responsible for the national grid collapse, and how much improvement, how much advancement, especially in this era of technology, are we deploying to deal with the issue of national grid collapse? Joining us this morning, we have an expert in power installation and an engineer to make sense of the conversation, perhaps to tell us why the national grid, although credit to this administration, the national grid between January and now, by my count, should be around between 3 to 4 collapses that we've had. It hasn't been as incessant as it has been before. But joining us this morning to make sense of the conversation is Engineer Aniefiok, Essien. Good morning to you, Engineer. Great to have you.
Good morning, good captains. Good to see you.
Morning.
Good morning. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Looking at the power sector holistically, the 2013 privatization plan was supposed to have been a solution to numerous power sector issues.
Okay.
But over the years, it appears that there were better years than we are now. What exactly is the problem?
Okay, there are a whole lot of them. It's plethora of issues. Like, you know this adage that says too many cooks spoil the broth? We had better years because there was a singular group of persons, let me put it that way, controlling the power sector. The privatization we thought was going to be the boom hasn't done us too much good. You have too many persons in the power sector, courtesy of the privatization. And then, like I keep saying, no, when this privatization was done, like for example, it's a football team. The attackers are not playing. So no matter how hard the defenders play, you're still going to lose the game because the midfield is not coordinated, the attack is not coordinated. So are you Swedish? How did one example? The two and driving the path, we couldn't supposed to. Please, if you pass through that place, could you 24,000 people paid? The people who pass through the toll. So what am I trying to say? Now there are different cultures. You need to stake out what's best for you. So why it's not better now when you thought it would have been better is because there are too by too many persons.
Let's bring in specifics here. Now in Akwa Ibom, we've had the 132 kV line, which in the last 3 weeks we've had more breakdowns, close to 7 of them in the last 3 weeks. If we're looking at the Ikeja axis, for the month of August, they had about 20 days blackout across. We're looking at Bayelsa. There were some areas in Bayelsa that for more than a year were out of power supply. Look at Cross River, a particular community, in fact, for 5 years had been without power. Cross River. So many other issues of that nature happening across. And sometimes it is expected that during rainy seasons of this nature, we should have more power supply. But in our case, it's quite different. Could you bring us up to speed as to why we have all
until it is taken to the consumers, you and me. Now, before power gets to you, from the something equivalent, that is what is called a transmission. So once grid collapse, now the voltage. Now what is called stability. Now let's go back to our to be on that level. Anything from both sides that happen, the system interprets that there is a problem, so it shuts down. Typical example, your small, like we call it the small generator, we call it I pass my neighbor. I want to use the Nigerian language, I pass my neighbor. You hear it bouncing. Why is doing that? It is not stable. You understand? Power dissipated is not equal to power consumed. So if there is an automatic system that senses that, it trips down. Now, what happened now? On Wednesday, it was reported by the Nigerian independent system operators that collapse was caused by a failure of a generator. That means the generator was supposed to add together through the interconnected power system. Interconnected power system means different generators are joined together to bring one output. So now when one generator goes off, the system understands now that there is a problem. There is going to be a frequency differential. Now this is what I call a frequency differential. The Nigerian frequency differential, the upper limit is 51.25 Hz. The lower limit is 48.75 Hz. Now, anything that is either above or below that frequency range, courtesy of the voltages coming, the system trips. Now, how do you solve that? Let's go to the solution. Now, a generator tripped. Someone should have seen it if it was automated, because there's supposed to be a backup power. So before my generator that is running goes off, my system shows me a generator has a problem. So I go to my backup generator, I switch automatically. The system is stable, it's maintained, whilst I go to solve. So we don't have those things. Now, when you talk about all those collapses, then another one is voltage collapse. What do we call voltage situation? There is power running on a line, and whoops, the line comes down. The system understands there is a problem, so it trips off automatically, like your circuit breaker in the house. So those are those packets of problems you're having. Why? Because there is no systematic way of dealing with these things. For example, we all know about maintenance. There is proactive maintenance, there is planned maintenance, there is emergency maintenance. The best one is planned maintenance. Now, when last was the generator visited? When last were the lines visited? Because we are talking about transmission, all these things need to work in synchronism. You understand? It's a synergy. So you have to, that is why in the power sector you hear linesmen. Now you have TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, which you privatize, because I kept coming here to tell you, please keep TCN, don't privatize that. So we can
the government.
Yes, because I was shouting. So now there is system operators, the ASO, there is the market operators. Now there is transmission service providers. Those guys are the guys who run those lines to check, is a pole bent? We need to keep it straight so it will not collapse. Is the base of the pole weak? We need to fortify it, because anything it goes. So those are the kinds of things that will cause that. To answer your question, to stop this, there has to be a systematic way. What is a systematic way? What is your maintenance plan?
Before you proceed, I'm really following your analysis, but I tend to want to ask a question, because I know that I had a session with you on this particular matter. This incessant grid collapse that we had, at least for a period of time, it was very, constant, and until recently.
Yeah.
What exactly is the problem? Can I ask, are our systems obsolete? Is that why it's constantly collapsing?
It is all part of it. Like I've told you. Okay, imagine that you have 1,000 and something equipments taking power to me. Okay, let's talk about the telecommunication. You need things. You need the tower, you need your phone, you need to have airtime. Hold on, you need to have the SIM card. Now there are 5 to 6 things that helps you to communicate. Now imagine you don't have the phone, your hand device. Imagine if you don't have a SIM card. It means all these things have to sync before you can communicate. Now, you have a TV that is bad and a camera that is good. What good does that do? Because when you film things, your TV is not going to be able to interpret that, because that one is bad. So now there is a work time for every equipment, which you have listed on the equipment that you bought. This transformer is going to be active for 10 years. After 10 years, it needs servicing. So 10 years, you bring the personnel, the servicing. You understand? Now, when you leave these things, there is what we call tolerance. Now, some of these machines, they have tolerance level that if they're specified that they will work for 3 years, they could work for 4. Don't get carried away. Go back to your manual. No, this needs repairs. This needs maintenance. So when you say obsolete equipment, yes, and poor maintenance too, yes. So when you're mixing new things with old things, they're not ever going to be able to work. So that is the problem. The
main problem.
There are many. What about the personnel you have on the field? Are they doing their jobs? Or do they even have the number of personnel to do this job? I'm talking about patrolling the lines now. Imagine that a line runs, the lines you're seeing coming, like the line that comes to the 132 kVA, is coming all the way from Aba in Abia State. Do we drive those lines? Do we patrol them? Do we check what's going on? So that's part of the problem.
I understand Mr. Clement Onyemelukwe designed the national grid in 1962. And after that national grid design by Mr. Onyemelukwe, there hasn't been any upgrade. There hasn't been anything different since 1962. And it's been operational even till now. Perhaps that informs for the constant collapse.
Not really. Now, in the United States, United Kingdom, I start quoting, the guy who designed the sewage system in the late 18th centuries, designed it in a way that in the future it will still be useful. All he did was to increase the diameters of the pipe. Yes, we are 10,000 today in Uyo, but by 2075, we could be 50,000. So now, whosoever designed the grid did a wonderful job. Now, what do you do after that? The man, I'm sure, I stand corrected. I don't know whether he's still alive.
Well, I haven't checked that.
Now, if a man designed a thing and you've come to see the changes, now, where did our power problem start? Directorate for Food, Roads and Rural Infrastructure. They call it different. Now, when those expansions were made, what were the things that were kept in place to take care to buffer these expansions? Like if you expand ABN TV today, you need more staff, isn't it? You need more equipment. It's not just one thing to run a line, say we want to electrify this place. Do they have the transformers? You understand? Do they have power? Are they producing enough power? Now you're talking about for 5 years, people don't have power. There could be an issue. It could be as little as a transformer. The transformer is bad and no one has gone to change it. Why am I saying the problem of privatization is when it was National Electric Power Authority of Nigeria, it was a sole responsibility of NEPA to deal with power issues in the country because it was directly involved with the government. So what NEPA would have done in those days is they would have gone to the community to check what's wrong. If it's transformer, they will provide a transformer to the community and power will come. You understand? But now, who is responsible for it? Nobody. You observe in your area where you're staying, if there is power problem, you, the consumer, is the one contributing money to go and fix maybe a substation. You understand? So what if you live in a community that people are not buoyant enough?
But many times the discos, personnel from the discos have come out to say that people are doing these things voluntarily, that they have provisions to provide transformers for people, and that many people are not taking advantage of this channel. So a lot of the transformers that are being provided are voluntary, and it's not they're not compelling people to do it, that they can provide it actually.
No, they can't tell you that. I can. Anybody who says that should come to me personally. Let's talk about it. I have been involved in power transmission, especially in my state and other places. I am yet to see one transformer unit that was given to a community by discos. I am yet to see. I stand corrected. Do you know how much those things cost? That is why you observe that it's only government and private individuals, corporate organizations that buy transformer units. You seldom see one man in a community stand up to go buy a transformer. But there is one thing is to buy a transformer. The other thing is the wires you need. Let me shock you. Original 75 mm 4-core is about 22,000 naira per meter. See those big wires that rises like anaconda from the transformer to, you understand? We call it, it's a 4-core. Now it's 22,000 naira per meter. You also need your 300 mm single, which is going to be like 15,000 naira per meter. And the rest of the thing. Imagine if you're an individual and you're asked to buy just 30 meters of that times 22,000. So most times, no. Most times, discos don't provide anything. People wait for the government. Now, when communities stay for a long while and they don't have power and they don't know what to do, the only thing distribution companies will tell you is that we are very sorry, your transformer is bad. That's when you see the community. I have personally in Akwa Ibom State, when things were so perfect, I want to say it, I have applied myself for a transformer for a community. I went to my office at the site. A young man said they don't have power in the community, that they do have they do have the transmission line passing but no transformer. I personally applied to the Ministry of Rural Development. That time, I think Obon Gospel Pabi was governor. Myself, I was not a big man, I was not a commissioner, nothing. I was just a young engineer, just 31. And the government saw that application and sent a transformer to the community. If it was disclosed that sent transformers, why didn't they send before I did the application? So I don't think it's true.
But with the mentioned the issues with the fragmentation of different discos or Gencos handling all of that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't this have spurred some form of competition to ensure that if I'm in charge of the southern aspect, I can make it so adorable that people in the northern part might desire to bring my company to manage their electricity? Shouldn't that have been what it should be?
Because there is a difference between service and maximizing profit. That's the problem. I'm never afraid to say. All these private power companies, their main problem has never really been about efficiency. Their main problem has not been about service providing. It's always been about how to be able to make money. Why? Because the government opened that loophole. Now the government, don't forget, the government of Nigeria has a share in this privatization. So, like I keep telling Mr. Ike, if you're richer than me and things go bad in the house, I wait for you. I don't want to spend my money. So what we are saying is this. Now, this privatization has got nothing really to do about service provision. Most times, I stand corrected. But it's got nothing to do about maximizing profit. Now, that is why when they say maybe the transformer is bad, I don't want to remove money and buy a transformer. You understand? I probably wait for the federal government to come around and do it. So that is where the problem is. So when you're talking about competition, these things are fragmented. It is fragmented and put into one. Why am I saying so? You have a generation company, me, I have one, Ike has one. We synchronize it, we call it interconnected power system. So we bring it together to form one body. So as a matter of fact, I'm not even competing with you because we are actually doing the same thing. If to say I was the one to say, okay, I am providing for Akwa Ibom State, you are providing for Cross River State. You understand? You are producing for Ogun State. I would have said, okay, let me make Akwa Ibom State more better. But we are putting into one system. You understand? That is why you now hear that, okay, I didn't maintain my own power system. That is why it went off power. And the differential in the frequency caused the collapse.
Let me ask, this issue of decentralizing the power pool, which is supposed to perhaps pattern after the Electricity Act, which is supposed to allow states generate and distribute. Isn't that supposed to solve a problem? Because courtesy of this administration, Abia is enjoying electricity.
That is the thing. Now, is the government ready to do that?
Is it the government or the state governments? Because the federal government has given us an Electricity Act.
That's what I'm saying. The state government, is the state government ready to do that? I said governments or the state government, are they ready to do that? Private individuals, let me say, like I keep telling you, yes, the geometric power in Abia State and all that. Yes, that is a good example, but the truth is, are the governors ready to invest this? Are the governors ready to say, okay, we are going to put 12 billion?
Akwa Ibom has a power plant here. That shouldn't be a problem.
164 megawatts produced, put into the national grid. Now, is the government ready? There is one thing to say there is the Electricity Act that should be used. Another thing is, are they ready to do it? Don't forget, this is for the people. You understand? Now, it's an investment. Now, if you put 12 billion naira into the power business today in Akwa Ibom State, for example, you might not be able to recoup that in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5, but maybe in 20 years. It's an investment now. So if you're doing it really as a business, a present business, it is not a good venture. the word not a good venture for you if you're thinking about making money out of it. But if you're doing it like as if it's something you want to do for the people, to better the lot of the people, pending when one comes out, then it's a good thing to do. Now the question is, how many governments, how many state governments have been able to take advantage of this? There are very few. I think it's about 12 states out of 37.
So invariably states are not taking advantage of the Electricity Act then?
Yes, because it involves a whole lot of money. But it would have been the best thing that would have happened. There would be better service delivery. There would be employment opportunities. There would have been business opportunities. Because all this power business we are talking about, it's big business. It's a multi-million-dollar business. You understand? Investing in it would have opened up a whole lot of doors in all the states.
Well, we did our transmission network seems to be one of the weakest. And
yes.
You talk about investments. What level of investment are we looking at that could strengthen our transmission network?
Okay, let me come with what JFK said. JFK, when he had issues with CIA before his eventual assassination, he said something. He said that the CIA should be splintered into little bits and tossed to the wind. That's the state of our transmission line. We should restart. See, we should have a plan. I've been having this discussion with Ike for a long time. See, before we can fix the power sector, there has to be a plan. We have to sit down and say, what are we going to do in 1 year? What are we going to... We are doing packets of solution solving. That is why we are having the problem. We are doing emergency maintenance. Grid has collapsed. Everybody enters the car. Ooh, solve that one. Comes and sit down as we are breathing. Another one. Why? Because time has come. Those equipment that have reached their tolerance level. So they will be breaking. You're trying to solve this one. It's breaking down. You're trying to solve this one. It's breaking down. That is not how you do it. Sit down. You plan. Bring the books out. When was power transformer, this, and this installed? When was it last repaired? When is the next maintenance? There has to be a maintenance blueprint for the entire network. Are the lights patrolled? In how many days are they supposed to be patrolled? Are the poles back? This was like I said the other time. You're talking about 1960. See that power line taking power from about to this place. Some of them we put 1976. There's what we call material strength. There's what we call the Young's law, stress all over strength. Just like human beings, as those materials that are in the sun, that are in the rain, gravity is acting on them, it means there is a stipulated time they should be. So why is our transmission line weak? Too many weak equipments in the line. Too many weak plants on the line. Wrong practices on the line. So this is why it is weak.
Engineer, I'd like to ask, we've got the generation, transmission, distribution, and then at the very end, consumption.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the problem has always been at the generation point. And then sometimes you have it at the transmission point. And then sometimes, maybe a few times, distribution point. Don't you think it's time for a total overhaul, perhaps to overhaul the system? Because you talked about the privatization of the transmission, which you've kicked against many times when the government talked about privatizing the transmission system, just the same way they did with the distribution system. Should we overhaul the entire thing and perhaps have new equipment since they've outlived their lifespan?
What are you overhauling now? I did a business with you. I came to ABN and you say you've privatized ABN. I'm in charge of the cameras. You are in charge of the TVs. And the cameras are bad. I'm not doing anything about it. You're going to fight me. We go to court, it's my equipment. I do what I like with it. You understand the problem of privatization. When you say overhaul, are you going to go tell these people that bought up these companies that you're no more the owners of these companies?
Are you saying the people who bought these companies due to privatization are not exactly living to their expectations?
What can we say? It's right in front of our eyes. Are they living to their expectations?
So then shouldn't the government revoke the privatization?
What did you write? What did you write when you gave out for privatization? I kept saying what paperwork? Our paperworks are very poor. I'm not in government, but I know I've met people in government. The paperwork is very poor. There is always a loophole. If you don't do this and do this and do this, we are going to take it back. You understand? You put that back door for yourself. I've not seen the papers.
But it's not outright privatization because the federal government still has a stake.
The issue is this, the other part that has been bought. When you say a complete takeover, means government owns it 100%. Like someone phoned when we were on radio and asked, why was power better in those years that there was NEPA? I now said, my answer is in synchronism with the question you've just asked. Get this thing back. Let it be one fold. That is the message I have been preaching. And over time, you have seen that. Let me brag a bit. I'm winning because nothing is working. I knew it won't work. I always know things that won't work. It's only that when I say it, I don't want to talk about it again. Now, you have 49% power or 51% power. Federal government probably has 51% shares in all the 51% power. The other 49 is with somewhere else. So what are you going to do about it? Okay, what if there is a clause that if you want to take out these things from me after I must have bought it, this is the penalty you pay?
But of course, one of the reasons that led to the privatization was poor maintenance, poor management in terms of, proceeds. They were not remitting the monies and all of that. So it led to privatization.
Is that how you solve a problem?
Then how should the problem have been solved? Are you saying that the privatization ab initio was wrong?
It was wrong. You have a problem with one facet. You have a problem with your midfield and you pull out the whole team. Your defenders are playing well. Your attackers are doing good. So you buy new midfielders. Now you had problems with remittance and boom, you privatize. Is that the problem? Now, how has it gone? It's not going well because all you would have done is, okay, I sell out the revenue part, sell it to one Indian company. They will go taking the money and give you your own and take their own. Because I keep telling you, the best engineers in this country, you could always find them at NEPA, National Electric Power Authority. I've had their material as a young person. As in, the Kanji training camp was one of the best engineering training camps in the world. Now, you cannot just wake up one morning because you cannot have a way to take money and throw the baby with the bathwater. That is the mistake we made, and we are leaving that mistake till now. So, who is going to, okay, if the federal government that owned 100% stake in it could not do the maintenance, is it the people that have been privatized to?
Let us look at the issue now with a view to solving the problem. Obviously, there's a problem with power generation.
Yes, there is.
Gencos are not living up to the expectation. Then we're talking about obsolete equipment here. Trancos now, transmission. We have a problem with the transmission lines and all of that. Distribution. Now, you want the government, you're saying, because I know that you've been very, very forthright with this whole push for buyback. What should the government buy back? The entire process or buy back one process and privatize the other?
Buyback. Now, when we had TCN domiciled with the Nigerian government, 100%, I was happy. I kept telling you I was happy. Keep on to that. Hold that. In fact, that should have been a bet. You understand? If you want to use fiat and say, okay, I own TCN, sell back discos, sell back Gencos to me. You say, no. I say, don't use whatever you can do. Now, how do you make sure things work that are not in your control? Okay, if TCN, like when TCN was with Nigeria, the Nigerian government 100%, they do everything perfectly. You don't just need only the transmission company of Nigeria, isn't it? You need the generation company, you need the distribution company. They're not in your hands. So you've been pushed to the wall. You have very little to work with. All the government would have done now, isn't it? If it was government, okay, if the personnel are not performing, you sack them, isn't it? If someone has messed up with procurement, you sack the person. Now, if we are sitting on a meeting now, the guy in charge of Disco said, well, I sent for this and this and this. One of my staff didn't buy it. Are you going to sack his staff for his sake? So you are not in control.
But there could be laws to ensure that their practices do not affect the people negatively. Now,
what are the practices? For example, they will argue that when we're just sitting down here, the machine stripped off, it can happen to anybody. I was watching what was going on TV before we started this program. He's telling you what he's doing. If he is doing that, but is it to your satisfaction? Can you go and push him? He says they have gone here, they have gone here. Yes, they have gone. But you're sitting here, you've not seen power. So So when you pick a phone and say, what is happening? They say, we are working on it, isn't it? They are working on it. But is it according to the pace you want the job? No, because it is not in your hands.
So you were saying that even if we try to bring in hydro or solar or the alternative power, this won't still work if these systems are not in place.
If these systems are not in place, like I kept telling him, now, bring in whatever you want to bring in. You don't have one unit. You're depending on the unit, the other unit to work as efficient as your own unit. You need the discos to be on their toes. You need the gencos to be on their toes. You need the TCN to be on their toes, just like you. Now, what if one person is seated and is not so concerned about it? It's only if we were able to have this thing in one flow, so that there has to be a central control over things. You can give orders. You understand? You can, okay, like the federal government, they can borrow money. They can solicit for funds from other countries to do whatever they want to do. Can you do the same? You cannot do the same.
Well, we have the opportunity to borrow.
Yes.
Banks will lend you.
Which banks?
Can we look at another aspect of, beyond just having a particular private organization buy that, can we look at monopsony? Not just the monopoly system where it's just one. Maybe competition, open up the markets for competition.
It's been opened up. It's been opened up.
That's the essence of the privatization.
Yes, it's been opened up.
My instance here is, for instance, in some areas, some geopolitical zones, it is just one distribution company manning that. For in Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, we have PHED. So now, what I'm looking at is, isn't it possible that even in this region where we have PHED, we have another distribution company still working in the areas to compete between PHED? Isn't that possible?
That is even, you see, you had the first problem, you're adding another problem. You had 10 persons managing a thing. You brought in 15, and you had 25, and there is a problem. You want to bring another 10. That would be 35 problems you're having. Now, what is happening now in the Abia State? They have their own independent, whatever distribution, you understand. Now, invariably, those people have bought their state. Let me put it that way. They have bought their state back. So the governors have control over it now. We are going to set our independent power transmission, whatever, that is going to supersede whatever. At least they have a little bit of control. Now, now, I cannot pull my phone now to call the NEPA manager of the NEPA, the office that controls the NEPA around my house, the power around my house. But I can pick a phone now to call one of my staff at the site, and it will come to this place. So you don't have that control. They say there is no power without control. You don't have control of this. Forget about the paperwork, forget about privatization, forget about this. You understand? You don't have, for example, like there is a Surgeon General of some countries. Now, let's say there is a national, when it was NEPA, the general manager of NEPA for the federal government. And there is no power, and then I call him. I say, I don't have power. He picks a phone and calls the NEPA manager who is managing whichever area I'm living in. So the question now is, there is no one full control. That is why you're having the problem. You understand? There's not one person running things. That is why you're having the problem.
Let's talk about expertise. Very necessary, because I know that from what I've read and the sessions I've had with you on this power situation, you've also questioned the expertise of the people who are handling things at different points, because when the privatization came in, there's the issue of favoritism, putting their brothers, their cronies, and all of that. Expertise. You also think that's a big problem that is also causing this constant power problem so we have in the country?
Let me say that quickly now on national TV. Now, I want to give you a quick example. A few days ago, where we are having this project, I'm in charge of the project. I'm the project engineer there, the technical director of the company, and we call them PHED to come and officially register the facility, as in connect us to the national grid. And do you know what happened? One of their staff came, said, okay, you can handle it. And we made all the money available, gave him everything. And then, he's supposed to go make a payment, and come back. Only to hear that the guy is a casual staff. Do you know the meaning of a casual staff? The casual staff is just a guy that carries ladder on his neck. And most times, these are the people that are working on those equipment. As in, that casual staff means the guy probably had no business with electrical engineering. He probably is not even a technician. His job is to carry ladder. In as much as he's carrying this ladder and following the main guys doing the job, he's seeing
How they do.
bits and pieces of things. Now, let me ask you a question. When it was National Electric Power Authority of Nigeria, were they casual staff? I'm done with that. I went to Power Training Institute of Nigeria, graduated from there, and then I went to a particular injection station. This is real truth. And when I arrived, the transmission guy came to me quickly and told me, "Engineer, we've heard you've been sent here to supervise stuff." I said, "Yes, I'm just coming here to work with you." He quickly told me, "See, I did not do engineering. Just that my uncle did this and did this and brought me here and blah, blah, blah." What am I trying to say? Now, how much was NEPA paying? Let's hope they used to pay 20,000. How much do you think the private companies will pay? 10,000.
Probably better.
Better? Did you say better? No, they will pay less. They will pay less. So you have issues. Now, imagine that I'm a NEPA manager of this station and we've just been privatized. I want to use the word we've just been privatized. And I'm seated here and my salary was like 250,000 and I'm supposed to take 50,000, a pay cut. Go to most NEPA stations, injection stations, the staff you will see there are probably staff that replaced someone who was originally there when it was National Electric Power Authority. And let me tell you anything about any job, technical job, is all about experience. Now, especially at all this NEPA that equipment goes obsolete. Like I've seen insignias in your place, ABN. You know where this ABN this thing is, sticker is, even if it were to be removed. And they asked him, Mr. Ike, where was he? You said, me, I wouldn't know. If I come, it was removed, I wouldn't know. So these guys were staying in that station, even if those equipment were old, and most of the right tops on them have been eroded, they know where the push on button and the off button has always been. So there has been less and less experience as we keep going because private companies, let's be real, don't pay very much. So you have that problem. Now, how many people, okay, imagine you walk around now and see mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and the rest of the people roaming the street. How many of them have been employed by Gencos and Discos over the years? Have you seen someone in recent times who came and said, we were 10, we got employed? But it used to be that then it was NEPA. I have uncles who work with NEPA, you understand? It used to be wonderful. I work with NEPA people because of installation. You know, NEPA supervises what you do. I like using NEPA. Now, PHCN, you understand? You know they're well trained, the things they will tell you, the things they will ask you to do. They will ask you, engineer, have you done this on the line? Please do this. We don't want separate. You're going to hear registers. But over the years, you see, power stations were not supposed to be run by marketers. I am very sorry to say. Someone who's reading accounting is now in charge. So normally when you call a NEPA office, if there is an outage, one of the things that will be so sweet is that the manager, who's an electrical engineer, will explain to you what just happened. Now it's just like a doctor. Once someone explains to you what happened, you have the confidence he knows and he's going to solve it. Now, when you call a NEPA station, probably a marketer picks up. We don't have power, blah, blah. Say, don't worry, it will be rectified. What is wrong with the line? Don't worry, it will be rectified. The issue is that probably is not a technical staff, so it doesn't even know what to tell you. So the problem of expertise too comes in. There has not been too many experts working on this line. If there are very few. And then, summarily, in a technical job, it is good you work with someone who's a bit experienced too. Or you're going to talk and stress yourself. You understand? So, it is a problem.
Indeed it is.
It's a real big
It's a
problem. But the distribution companies have also had a say in issues around the power sector, and one of which has been power theft and aspect of bypass.
Even vandalism.
Yeah, vandalism has always been their major discuss, and it brings us to want to understand. You think the discos, they are probably underfunded to be able to tackle or face these issues head on?
Let me answer quickly. Do you know why I'm smiling? Technology is local. 2009, I graduated from school in 2009. I picked my first job. I'm working on lines. We are doing installation. We are doing heavy electrification in Akwa Ibom State. And I spoke to one of the engineers. I said, look, this vandalism of substation has got to stop. This is what we should do. I'm talking about 2009. This is what we should do. We should have a machine designed. This machine is self-powered. It should be put in every substation. Because why the vandals are more rampant now is that there is no power. If there is power, you don't go 10 years near a substation. Do you know why? The power that is coming to the transformer sometimes is 111 kVA or more. If it touches you, you will blast. It will not just electrocute you. Your brain will burst because of the energy coming into your body. 33 kVA line, if you touch a live line, your blood will turn green. How many vandals were there in the 80s? How many vandals were there in the 90s? Because the power stations were always energized. Go there and get electrocuted. So let's design a machine. This machine will be part of the installation for a transformer substation. The machine will, once power goes off, the machine will energize the circumference of the transformer substation. You touch it, you get electrocuted. I have talked about it. Last year, I met with General Electric engineer from Turkey, and we discussed General Electric. We discussed, we've been working together for a while. So I mentioned the same thing. Do you know what he said? He said, we have it in our country. So you cannot be announcing for vandals to stop. You cannot use prayer. You use technology. So it will not stop. Disco should think of telling Japan or China, since here to do anything is like a taboo. I no regret. Do you know why? I graduated from a polytechnic, and every year we design things. They might not look very nice. My own, I did regulated power supply, like it gives you 18 volts. As in, no matter what power comes in, it regulates it to 18 volts. Now, when we do those little things, that is how China and Taiwan and the rest of it, it will be the idea now for you to come. We harness it, make it a little bit better. We sell it out. If it doesn't work very well, we rework, we research on it. So China, Japan can design such a machine. So you keep it at your substation. Any vandal that gets in there, understand that power is dangerous.
I see.
And
so we use technology to solve the problem of power theft and vandalism.
Yes, because technology is local. Why am I saying it's local? Americans don't have vandals coming to their substation, so they will not produce that. Britain don't have vandals stealing wires. They can't produce that because they don't have a market for it. Imagine that we could produce that and we sell to every substation that is in this country. And then we sell to Cameroon and we sell to Tanzania and other African countries that have the same problem. Imagine how rich we'll be. But no, nobody will even listen to you. We finish talking, they will just say, don't mind that engineer. He likes to talk.
Okay.
Well, there's supposed to be a power summit in Akwa Ibom. I think it's next week.
Yeah.
And this power summit is meant to draw in stakeholders to talk about the solutions of the power sector. And let me bring it to you. In Akwa Ibom, what can be done in Akwa Ibom to ensure that power generation, distribution, and consumption is stabilized for the greater good of the people?
Wonderful. It boils down to the same thing we've been saying. I've been telling Ike, met Ike a couple of times on TV or radio before meeting you, nice meeting you. Talk about binders. He knows I like the binder. We want to do another binder. We'll talk, we'll produce paper, people will present paper. You know, I am an engineer. We love to present papers on this. You know, I've just presented a paper on how to solve vandalism. It's a binder. It's probably somewhere in my shelf. Who works on it? And you're talking about how Akwa Ibom State, for now, is still with the national grid. How will what they do here affect what happens to the national grid? If it's like we had our own generating plant, you understand that It's an independent. We are.
Well, nothing is stopping Akwa Ibom from being the way Abia State is.
Well,
taking advantage of the Electricity Act.
I'm just trying
to generate and transmit.
I'm just answering her questions. So now the Power Summit, wonderful, is a wonderful thing. It's going to happen. You need to be there. There's going to be a whole lot of people talking, engineers talking, policymakers talking. And the problem with me is always, after this, what next? You know, I really like, I went to the university, later I left to the Polytechnic. We don't talk much. And people are surprised. Most Polytechnic graduates don't talk much. People are surprised that I actually talk a little more. Because we are not trained to talk. We are trained to get the job done and move on. That is why you work with a Chinese man. He doesn't expect to speak English with you. So he does not have a problem working with you. He just comes and shows you what he wants you to do. You go get the job done. So his English does not matter. My problem is this, my sister. After all this talk, what do we do next? I think there has been Power Summit in almost all the states of the Federation every year. Power Summit, Power Summit. We wake up from the grid collapse. Power Summit. We wake up again, grid collapse. Power Summit. Poles are falling, grid collapse. Vandalism. So what am I trying to say? Whatever summit we are going to have, when the white paper comes out, let's for once act on it. So I'm sure you'll be there. I'll be there.
Indeed. we'll all be there to hear the papers. And we're hopeful that it will also bring out some solutions.
Yes, yes. And those solutions should be implemented. That is where I am driving at. The summits are wonderful. My problem is we go through a whole lot doing all that, but at the end of the day, nothing, you see, nothing is done. Like there was another issue. I said, okay, if the vandals are doing so much, why don't we take our transformers on the ground?
Put the transformers on the ground?
No, the wires on the ground. There's what we call duct system. You understand? Instead of flying the wires to the pole where they will cut, you run it on the ground.
They'll still dig it.
No, you slab it. It's hard to break.
It.
Yes, as if you do concrete, you do a duct on the ground, you run it like you're doing the drainage system, and then you slab it. It's hard for someone to start doing boom.
Well, but you are aware of even the normal roads with the slabs on top of those roads, the manholes, the metallic covers, they are being stolen. So you're talking about slabs built out of concrete that can still be broken?
Well, all I'm saying is there has to be a way. We could sit down about vandalism. We can actually sit down. And the best way to stop vandalism of those things is if we have power. Power is already defense. It's a protection.
But our power generation system is not exactly one minute is going up, the next minute is going down. It's not stable.
And so once you stabilize that, you don't have a problem with the vandals.
How do you stabilize that? Change the equipment.
Change the equipment, work on it, get better personnel, have a footprint, have a blueprint for what you want to do. There has to be a maintenance time for every equipment on this earth. There is a maintenance time. Now I know of power transformers. I've maintained a whole lot of them with my team. As in, it's for 4 years. The big giant 22 kVA, not small. The ones you're using is 0.145 kVA. It's small. The small distribution transformer at your street. I'm talking about big power transformers that are about 22 kVA, big, like a 2-story building. 4 years is maintained. What about turbines? 2 years maintenance. They follow it religiously. Like if you want to see how things work, you need to work with a multinational. Once you work with a multinational, you understand how this is. They don't miss it. If these cameras are to be maintained by tomorrow, as at today, the equipment and the parts must have arrived 2 months ago. And the personnel, as they're coming in today, they're doing the job. So when we do that, we can be sure of something.
Let's look at individuals who have become their own governments. And talking of their own alternative power supply with inverters and buying and installing their own solar panels in their own homes. We sometimes get to hear of a potential problem from individuals engaging in their own power generation and assisting themselves to have some form of power in their house. Is there a problem coming from the angle of individuals having their solar panels or installing that, or their own inverters? Is there a problem attached to that?
You mean as in, do problems happen?
No, can that solve the power problem?
Okay, when you put your inverters in your house, you have your solar panels and stuff. That is a personal solution. I know you've traveled out of the country before. No, let me not talk about the country. You go to places that there is power. Okay, like Akwa Ibom State. I even see government bringing generators. When you have power in your house, it's a wonderful thing. There is nothing compared to the whole environment being lit. Do you understand the argument now? Now, if the entire environment is lit, there is how it feels. So owning a private power source is a wonderful thing. It's a thing everybody should try to have. But that is when we're talking about, would you have needed to spend that? Let's put it. Recently, someone asked me to do a design. He wants to install solar system in his house. I now asked him, what do you have in the house? So he told me. So I now calculated the power requirements. You understand? We call it power auditing. Now I finished checking it, and then I gave my boy, he did all the calculation, and he needed to spend 6-point-something million. Hold it there. Imagine if you had grid power. How much would you pay a year? So you're just throwing away the 6 million naira you should have used for another thing. So it's very, very pertinent that we need to solve the power problem, because he wouldn't need to spend 6 million. You just wait. You go your prepaid meter, you buy your unit, whether for 10,000 a month, you go on with your life, you take the balance of your 6 million, do what you want to do. So people are spending unnecessarily for a very small. I keep telling you, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. Power availability is in the 90s, 90%, 92%, as in all time, round the year. There is power for you to do what you want to do.
Can we not achieve that?
Yes, if we want to.
Okay. Jennifer, I believe there's some reactions you want to bring us up to.
Well, I would have loved to bring in some reactions, but here, I think we'll just
need to call it around.
Yeah, because it's really getting interesting. Okay, let's just take a few of them. We have this one from Daniel Rega. Just a reminder that the Minister of Power has aspiration to contest for governorship election, but the power sector hasn't significantly improved under his regime as a minister. If he can't handle a one-task job like this, what makes him qualified to rule a state with many challenges? That's for Daniel.
Politics.
And we have this one from Ife
Chukwude.
I'm surprised the system keeps waking up with collapsing for as long as I can remember. I've had a grid collapse since I was a kid, and it is still collapsing now that I'm a full-grown man. Wonderful. Wonderful indeed. And AJ Daniel, at this point, calling it a national grid feels generous, more like a national gamble. How many times can it collapse before we admit it's broken beyond patching? AJ Daniel. Okay, so we've heard from the people.
Yes, I've heard, and I think Ike remember what I said about the power ministry. I'll still say it again on national TV. You've not heard. This is my line. Why do we give Minister of Power, Minister of Health to a doctor, Attorney General of the Federation to a barrister? But I've never seen in recent time, apart from Professor Batnaji, why do we keep giving the Ministry of Power? Power brings in so many things, but electricity. Why don't we ever consider a power transmission engineer to be a minister? Is there something, is it that a law was written that an engineer should not be a minister for power? You are journalists. Maybe there is something I haven't seen. I don't read too many things about government. I want to know why a power transmission, or is it no power transmission engineer in politics? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Why? Ike, I want you to answer before you go. Why is it that every other profession is recognized, but when it comes to power, the power ministry, why don't we give it to a power engineer, a power transmission engineer? Is it a law that was written?
Let's hope that's answered shortly.
It's a very good place to live it, though.
Yeah.
Very good place to live it. Engineer Aniefiok Essien has been our guest this morning as we talk about the national grid collapse, and we expanded the conversation to talk about some other issues involving power sector in Nigeria. You've listened to his analysis. We've talked about expertise. We've talked about obsolete equipments. And then the issue of privatization, which he has been absolutely against even till this moment. Thank you so much, Engineer Aniefiok Essien.
Nice
Engineer Aniefiok Essien is a power transmissions engineer. And of course, he's been in the business for quite some time, and he interacts with this thing almost every time.
Yes.
And so you understand. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Jennifer.
Nice to be here.
Yes, we'll take a break, and when we return, we'll talk sports. Stay with us.